Over the course of thousands of years, the Jedi Order and the Sith alike have produced some of the most fearsome lightsaber duelists to date, developing 7 distinct forms of lightsaber combat, each with their own purpose, function, and notable practitioners. While the Sith Order is known for producing some of the most brutal and ruthless Jedi butchers in history, perhaps one of the most gifted lightsaber duelists is that of Emperor Sheev Palpatine, otherwise known as Darth Sidious. Sidious was able to contend with both Maul as well as his brother Savage Opress at the same time, as well as nearly best Grandmaster Yoda in single combat during their duel in the Senate chambers. His only recorded defeat in lightsaber combat as of now is against Master Mace Windu, who is widely praised as the single greatest duelist of his generation. So what lightsaber form or forms did Darth Sidious employ that made him such a dangerous and unique opponent? How can one individual training in secret become good enough to overpower most Jedi of his generation, including the Grandmaster? Well, stick with us today, students of the Force, and let's explore Palpatine's preferred lightsaber forms and dive into exactly what made him so deadly. But before we dive deeper into this concept today, have you ever wondered what the Ewoks ate on Endor after their defeat of the Empire? How could they feed all of those Ewoks a healthy and balanced diet all at once? Well, thanks to today's sponsor, HelloFresh, we just might have the answer for you. HelloFresh is a personalized meal delivery plan custom designed to fit your specific dietary needs and goals. This way, each planet and system throughout the galaxy can experience food from across the furthest reaches of the Republic. While HelloFresh only operates and delivers on Earth as of now, they deliver fresh farm produce from some of the most reputable farms in the world, along with authentic Mediterranean cuisine filled with fresh fruits, nuts, and fiber-packed whole grains for a nourishing and deliciously balanced meal. Their variety of options even extends to seasonally specific meals, such as their renowned Taste of Summer series offering the Old Bay shrimp and sausage boil, family-styled grilled steak lettuce wraps, and so much more. Use our link or go to HelloFresh.com and use PogWaveSept16 for 16 free meals across 7 boxes, as well as 3 surprise gifts. Once you click, my description will live update to count up all of your purchases. Our editing team has used HelloFresh for the past month in order to increase workplace productivity, and it's proving to be a great one. Their plans are flexible and highly adaptable to even the pickiest of eaters, and can save you hours per week at the grocery store. Not to mention being up to 72% cheaper than dining in a restaurant or grocery shopping overall. So if you're looking for a specific diet to meet your goals, be it a healthy vegetarian diet, meals to fit your workout plan, or whatever you may need, be sure to check out HelloFresh if you want to cut waste by up to 23% using a fully recyclable, carbon-based meal kit. So if you're interested, be sure to check out the link in the description down below and use our code for a whole host of benefits, including free meals and prizes. Thank you again to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video, and thank you to all of you who continue to help support the channel. Now, let's get right back to the topic. Unlike most Jedi who often specialized in a particular form and perfected their craft, Sidious elected to use a hybridized form, a method that his apprentice Dooku actively disagreed with. However, Sidious found this to be the most optimal. While blending forms and practicing more than one lightsaber form wasn't necessarily uncommon, and was a relatively regular practice among the Jedi, it was less common than simply sticking to one style or another. First, it's important to note that his master Darth Plagueis ordered Sidious to learn all 7 forms of lightsaber combat. In the novelization for Darth Plagueis, he explains that Sidious is a gifted swordsman even though he doesn't really have very much interest in it. This is something passed down to Sidious by Plagueis himself, who also did not have a general interest in lightsaber combat, and was more focused on the Force and the science behind the Force itself. Regardless, however, Darth Plagueis ordered Darth Sidious to know his enemy as well as possible, and therefore he ordered that he be trained in all 7 lightsaber forms by Plagueis. In the Darth Plagueis novel, Plagueis states that Palpatine is actually a prodigy with the blade, and he even refers to him as a master of all 7 forms of lightsaber combat. However, over here at the channel, we find this to be an unfounded claim. Instead, we believe that Darth Sidious learned the fundamentals and mastered one of the forms, that being Form 6, Nyman, as well as having a great knowledge of the other forms, but not necessarily coming to mastery. Form 6 granted Darth Sidious a general understanding of all of the other forms that came before it. Style 6, otherwise known again as Nyman, was designed to take the strongest aspects of each lightsaber form and blend them into one cohesive and comprehensive style, allowing a practitioner to take what made each style so great in mitigating their shortcomings. The weaknesses of each style could be addressed with the strengths of all of the others with the use of Nyman. For instance, Ataru is known for being incredibly acrobatic and energetic, but lacks defensive capabilities, which is what led Qui-Gon being defeated at the hands of Darth Maul and Naboo. As the Jedi Master ultimately became fatigued, his defenses lacked. On the opposite end of the spectrum, Surisu is the most defensive form in all of lightsaber combat, so combining Ataru's acrobatics with Surisu's defenses mitigates the weaknesses that each form has, and this applies to all 6 forms in a wide variety of different combinations. This immediately made Darth Sidious a dangerous lightsaber duelist, and as he learned and practiced more, he became an incredibly formidable master of Form 6. The downside to Nyman, however, is that a user never mastered one specific style, and they only mastered the strongest aspect of each respective form, not the form entirely. According to Dooku, an individual should focus on one form, bringing it to its ultimate version of mastery.
Surely you can do better.
Dooku's chosen form being Makashi. Darth Sidious, though, went the other route, believing that Nyman would suffice. A master of Nyman could oftentimes hold their own against adept lightsaber combatants regardless of the form that they chose, but very seldom was a master of Nyman a master of another lightsaber form as well. Secondly, Darth Sidious's connection to the dark side of the Force allowed him to utilize Form 7 to a degree that no Jedi or Sith before him had been allowed or able to. Form 7 is an incredibly aggressive style of lightsaber combat, and the most popular variant, known as Juyo, is reserved specifically for dark side wielder. Even more specifically, Sith Lords who are able to harness the power of the dark side in full. Very few members of the Jedi Order have been able to balance the aggression of Form 7 with the philosophy of the Jedi Order, and perhaps one of the most famous to attempt this is Mace Windu himself, who is one of only a select few Jedis to ever be successful in creating a variation of Form 7. His use of Vapad allowed him to tap into the more aggressive nature of the dark side, letting him inch closer to the darkness without completely falling victim to it. But more on Darth Sidious. Darth Sidious is an incredibly aggressive lightsaber duelist, pushing the offensive whenever he wants, and falling back on Nyman when he wants to see what his opponent is made of. The reason behind why Juya Form 7 is nearly invincible in the hands of Darth Sidious is because it is a form that is directly channeled by the Force itself. Unlike all of the forms that we mentioned earlier, it is a form that is solely dictated by one's connection to the dark side and their emotions. It's not a set of memorized sequences like all of the other forms. Instead, it drives purely off of aggression and dark side intensity, which of course Sidious is the master of. This is why most Jedi who attempt to practice Form 7 inevitably fall to the dark side, pushing themselves too far and being gripped by the whisper of power, crumbling before its promise and becoming agents of the dark side. Sidious, however, was already an avid practitioner of the dark side and a master of it, and he never had to be concerned about falling to the dark side or giving into anger or aggression. This unique blend of Nyman and Juya allowed Darth Sidious to essentially have a firm understanding of all 7 forms of lightsaber combat, an understanding in such a way that allowed him to change his style on the fly given whichever situation he found himself in. Sidious's status as a prodigy also fueled Form 7, as again, it never had any set forms of lightsaber dueling or set sequences, and Darth Sidious was able to use his sheer connection to the dark side of the Force to essentially use the form on the fly. This is something that's very unique about Sidious, is he generally lacks precision, as well as refinement. However, in the point of Palpatine, this isn't necessarily a drawback whatsoever. Darth Sidious's major trump card over any Jedi and any other duelist is his sheer connection to the Force, his ability to use the Force to augment his physical body in such a way that he can move faster than any of his opponents. This is why in his various duels, at moments in time, you can see Darth Sidious twirling his blades in a manner that essentially does nothing. Especially in his duel with Savage Opress and Darth Maul, you can see Sidious moving his lightsabers in a fashion that really accomplishes next to nothing. And in his duel with Mace Windu, you can see that Darth Sidious holds his lightsaber directly to the chest of Windu, indicating, at least at that point in the duel, that he can strike down the Jedi Master whenever he wants. When Darth Sidious wants to be, he is extremely aggressive, on the level of someone like Darth Maul, his own apprentice. Where he differs though, is at a moment's notice, he can pull back and fall back on his mastery of Nyman. In nearly all of the duels, except with with the exception of maybe Yoda, Darth Sidious is toying with his enemy. He doesn't want to nearly just strike them down as quickly as possible. He wants to revel in his superiority with the blade. This is especially highlighted in his duel with Maul and Savage, both of which are highly aggressive duelists. And because of this, Darth Sidious for a time falls back on his use of Nyman. Of course though, when the moment in time arises, Darth Sidious hits the gas and his aggression is fueled into Form 7 Juya. In an interview, Nick Gillard, who is the stuntman for the Star Wars prequels, revealed exactly the lightsaber form that Darth Sidious uses in a very ambiguous way. This was his quote: "It took a really long time for me to work out Sidious's fighting style, as he has a style that's constantly changing. His style is one in which you'll never get the better of him. It is very ambiguous. At moments, he'll fight less than you and draw you in. You're a sucker if you think you're going to ever get the better of him. Sidious is a master of every style." This is why we believe here at the channel that Darth Sidious perfected Nyman, but you have to take into account his sheer aggression, which is obviously indicative of Juya. What's interesting about Sidious as a duelist is he's essentially one of the most unusual in all of Star Wars lore. It's extremely difficult to pin down exactly which form he is using at which time. Where he differs from the common lightsaber wielder in Star Wars is none of what he does makes sense all of the time. None of his lightsaber form is clearly this or clearly that, with the exception of course, Form 7. It is a pure hybridized style, and this is likely very intentional in fact. Darth Sidious likely developed his lightsaber form in this way to throw off any Jedi. When he dueled a Jedi, they believed that they could fall back on any given form as they could identify Sidious it. But if Darth Sidious simply combined them all and created a version of Nyman that they were unfamiliar with, they would be staggered, and Darth Sidious could toy with them until the moment where he turned on his aggression style and defeated them utterly. But in the end, if I had to name a fighting style that Darth Sidious uses, I would again fall back on my analysis of Nyman mixed with Juya, Forms 6 and 7 being his mastery of all of them apparently, and also his preference for aggression. But anyway, my friends and students of the Force, what are your thoughts on this analysis and the lightsaber form that Darth Sidious used? What are your thoughts on the character of Sidious, and do you believe that I missed something in my analysis? As always, my friends, thank you guys so much for watching the channel and supporting it. May the Force be with you, and have a great day.
Your name is